Hey everybody, welcome on in. It's the afternoon of day 3 of Clay Share Con, and we are about to do some trimming with diamond core tools. I love trimming with diamond core tools. I use some other tools too. You know, I'm not just a one tool kind of girl. I got a couple others I like, but I got these ones that are, I got a couple from the newest trimming tools that are my favorite tools ever. And, you know, so I've got these guys here, which are their T1, 2, 3, and 4, which is great. I didn't grab I need my cup of trimming tools. I don't know if Kev can grab it for me. But these are ones they sent me that are personalized. And then if you would grab me that cup of trimming tools, can you reach that for me? I just need a couple things. So these are their first 4 trimming tools. And they just came out with their I'll just take the whole cup. They came out with the T6, 7, and 8. So I want to grab those to share with you all. I've got a few in here. And I think what I'm going to do is with duplicates, I'm going to give them away. I mean, we're already giving away some diamond core tools, but it looks like I might end up with a few extras. And if I have them, you know, I give those away too. So today we are giving away some diamond core tools though, just so you all know. Can get a discount that's half off for diamond core tools. I wish. We would all buy them, wouldn't we? So the new batch that just came out, so they have 8 trimming tools. They have this one that's the T7, which I think is the most magnificent trimming tool. And I also really like the T5. And then I did some carving with the T6. I had a really good time with that one. So honestly, any of them are good. From their originals, the T3 is my favorite. So if I was going to get 2 trimming tools from Diamond Core Tools, the 2 trimming tools I would buy is the T3 and the T7. Now you can use any trimming tools you want. In this video, we're going to trim so that everything I teach you about trimming applies, but I'm going to put my really fancy ones back because they're so fancy. I want them in their box. But we're using Diamond Core Tools. They are well worth the money. They sure are. They are. You know, I carve a lot, and I have carved so much that my P1 carver, I've carved the blade like through, and I had to get a new blade, but you can get replacement blades for those. So we're going to do some trimming. Now this morning we threw and altered some cups and some tumblers, and we threw and altered some bowls. And the tumblers are ready for trimming. The bowls are sitting here. They're getting there. I'm hoping the bowls will be ready before we're done. So we will see. And Deb says she'll take them off my hands. We'll make sure somebody gets those. We'll do something. Probably, maybe before this is over, unless I save it to do for March. Have a little gift in March, right? So I just have my bat on my wheel, and I have to just raise my seat. I have a adjustable height seat, which is kind of nice in the studio, because sometimes when I'm carving I want to be down lower, and when I'm throwing I want to be higher. So I get the wheel damp and turn this on. I'm just going to use my sponge, and I'm going to make concentric circles on the surface with the damp sponge, and you just barely see that, but it can help with lining up. So we're going to get this centered. It's pretty close to center. But if you struggle with centering, you know that needle tool we used this morning to gauge the thickness? Well, you're going to grab that back out. I have not left the wheel with it, and I don't know where mine is. We were talking about losing tools this morning. Like, how is it possible for something that you didn't take out of your tool cup? There it is. It's still here. I knew it. Your husband says it's okay to buy expensive tools for your trade. Well, you know, it's amazing the job you can do when you have really good tools. So where this is hitting, I know it's a little close, right? So I need to scooch it in the other direction just a bit. And so you get it close to center. I mean, perfectly center would be ideal, right? That's good. All right, so once I have that there, I'm going to take some little wads of clay. And this is why I want our bat head a little damp, because these won't stick to dry clay. Everybody would love some of these tools. I'll make them happen. Somebody will get them. You know, I often end up with none because I give them all away. I went to carve the other day and I didn't have any carving tools because I'd given all of my P1 carving tools away. So, you know, that happens. I forget to keep anything for myself. But that's all right. I want you all to have them. So I'm going to trim with those two tools I was talking about. That was the T8's a nice one too, but the T3, and you know, I should have done that before I put on the wheel, but I'm a consistent thrower, so I know the thickness of my walls. But what you want to do is you want to go down in your cup and you want to mark about where you want to trim inward, and then you just figure how much down you're going to go. So you make couple little tick marks with your fingernail, and we're going to trim away that piece. I didn't do it on this one, but because I know myself and I know how much I need to trim off, I'll trim that much. All right, so we're just going to go ahead, and I can put, you know what, I know I can make tick marks safely, one's right there, without worrying about over trimming. And so we're just going to trim it away. So normally, would I be trimming today? Would I trim the same day I altered a cup? You know, not usually. Usually I would cover the cup up and then I would come back later. So I want to make my foot a little more fancy. So I'm just using the edge. Trimming is one of my favorite parts of pottery making because everything else I do, I'm usually hurrying. And trimming, you have to slow down or you will mess it up. Your husband got your diamond core tools. So they make great gifts. Anybody out there listening that needs a gift for a potter? Whether your mom, sister, wife, cousin, best friend is a potter and you want to get them a gift. I mean, any pottery tool is good, but diamond core tools, they're diamonds. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. Diamond core tools. So funny. So this was the cup I stamped, and I am trimming into this bottom bit that I stamped, and that's because as I'm doing, I'm feeling like I want the shape to be a little different than what I made. Let's go back to this foot. Now that avocado, a trick that I do with my feet is I like a little inward curve right here. And I used to use a circle trimmer from Dolan Tools, which sometimes I still use because I have so many sizes of them. I might make a bigger foot and I need a bigger circle. But now that Diamond Core Tools has this avocado, that's the T7, I've been using that lately. Do I ever use a Giffen grip? No. I actually have one. A friend of mine gave it to me because she never used it either. I make a chuck. So a Giffen grip is a device, and Bailey has a quick trim that goes on your wheel head and it helps hold things in place. I was taught that you make your own chuck, and that's just what I do. But you know what? I believe Giffen grips and the Bailey quick trims, I believe they're great tools. And if they help you, so I marked out my foot ring first, and now I'm trimming from the inside out. If those tools help you make pottery and help making pottery easier, then I am in full support of that. Just because I don't use it doesn't mean it's a bad tool. I just don't use it. And so I'm just trimming my bottom. This is step one for that smooth bottoms we're going to be doing right after this, I'm going to be doing a demo where we smooth our bottoms. We're going to use grinding discs to do that. Trimming is the hardest part for you. At the beginning, trimming can seem like a chore when you're first starting out. This is one of the reasons why many people love hand building, because in hand building, there's not really any trimming, is there? You don't have that extra step. In wheel throwing, you have to make the form, and then you have to wait. So I'm just smoothing the edges, smoothing away any lines that might be there. And now, let's clean the wheel. I love that. It never gets old. Pull off our little clay wads. And look at the bottom. Look at how much that cup has changed. I don't know if the focus is getting it. We can go to the front if you'd rather. We can roll. Let's roll to the front, because the front really gives you the view. So here's our bottom. Right there, Instagram folks. There it is. But look how much this cup has changed. Look at the profile of it. You know, before it was just a chunky, beefy thing, and now I cut away so much of it. We have this beautiful little foot, and then it comes up into this cup, and then you can look and see inside that cup, the bottom of the cup. That's a nice smooth bottom already. It's already ready, a smooth bottom. So this it will shrink 12%. So it fits my hand now. It's a tiny bit big. So when it shrinks that 12%, it's going to fit my hand like a dream. Now, that bottom is a little wet, a little soft, just trimmed it. We don't want to damage it, so I'm going to put it rim down just until the sheen is gone, and then I'll turn it back over. So we'll let it sit there. We've got another cup. Let's do that. Hopefully we can get a bowl. That one's wetter. This one's drier. I think we'll be able to do that. If you're trimming and your pieces are too wet, it's going to be hard to trim. You're going to struggle, and you're going to fight it. And instead of beautiful clay ribbons coming off, you're going to get mush. So make sure you are not trimming too wet. You get so frustrated trimming, never sure how to make it look nice. I think, you know, it does come with practice and trying out different types of, whether you're trimming, you know, a foot on there. There's lots of different ways to trim a foot. Because this was one that we altered, the centering can be a little off. Let's see if we can get it. That'll work. You might notice that I don't really stress anymore about how centered my clay is or my cup is for trimming. When I was starting, you know, it's the usual thing. When you start, you struggle to get it centered, then you get it centered, and then you make pots for a decade or 2 decades, and then you're like, it's close enough. Most of the time it's dead on, but sometimes it's not, and I don't let that stress me out. Nobody would notice that it's just slightly off center unless they're spinning the cup on a wheel, which I don't know, maybe they will, but most people don't. So the tools that I used were the T3 and the T7. And I mean, we can switch it up. I can use the T5. T5's nice, just so you can see some of the others that are out there. This one has a curve and a straight edge. And so we're just going to go in. Yeah, this is a little off. I can see. It might be a little off for me. Yeah, I'm going to adjust it, I think, because it's hitting too far. If it's just a little bit off, I will go with it, but that one was significant.
I got a question for you while you're adjusting.
Yeah, go ahead.
So got a question. What would your tips be to new potters to achieve better trimming results?
So like I just adjusted it back. So I marked that, right? When I first looked at it, I did a little tick mark here and a tick mark here, gauging the thickness to trim to that point, right? So you want to go ahead and trim to that point, but when you're first starting out, you have a tendency to trim too far, right? And you go in and you actually over trim and trim through your bottom. So I suggest you stop a lot while trimming and check your piece, right? And don't be frustrated by it. Just let it be part of the learning process. It takes a while to get trimming down. It takes a while to get anything in pottery down. But please take time to enjoy what you're doing too. Yeah, this is much better. Much, much better. So the T5 is really like, I have my favorite couple that if I only could have two tools that I'd take with me, it would be the T3 and the T7. That's the avocado tool. But I mean, any of the diamond core tools, trimming tools are great. So I'm going to take little ribbons. I'll go slower so you can really appreciate the ribbons. Right there. This would be a video moment, right? Have the camera set up, take some videos of just little clay ribbons. So, I'll tell you a fun story. When I was first learning, we had to put feet on our pieces. And then when I got out on my own and was doing production pottery, I would sometimes put feet on it, but I didn't enjoy trimming like I do now. I was a younger potter and I just wanted to make the pieces and I didn't want to spend the time. See that? That's my little wads not pressed down enough. I didn't want to waste my time trimming. At least that's what I thought in my head, right? And so I started doing production bottoms where you just throw it thin enough so you don't have to trim a bottom on it. And then you roll the bottom. So it's called a production bottom. You just wipe it smooth and then just kind of roll it on a surface. And that rounds over the very edge. And so I did that for many years. And then I got to a point where I stopped doing production pottery and I just started making pots that were either for classes or just I was going to do something else to them, and I started taking my time trimming, and I realized I actually really liked trimming. But it wasn't initial. I didn't like it at first. I didn't like it so much that I didn't do it, right? I just found a way to get around it. And my suggestion is if you're looking for a certain style foot, find pottery that you like. Find a foot that you admire and emulate that. Try to replicate that. So this is looking good. I kind of want to go a little tinier. Not too tiny, but just a little bit. That should be good there. I like a small foot on cups. Not so small it's teetery, but I like it to be, I like a nice belly and then a little foot. A nice big belly and little tiny feet. That's what I like. That's nice. Let's go ahead and mark the inner foot ring. So that's done, and now I'll trim from the inside out. The reason I mark this now, instead of just starting from the center and working out, is because you're going to get to your foot ring, and if you don't stop at the exact point, you might go right through it. And then you just keep going, right? So I make this mark first. I do this first and delineate it. So now I know that's where I go to. How did I speed dry them? I just left them sitting out in the studio. That's it. I didn't even I was going to use a heat gun. We are running a pellet stove right now in the studio because it is winter and cold. Let's use another one. What am I going to use? Let's use the T8. And because I have a pellet stove, it's forced hot air heat. And although it's over there and I have a gallery shelf, a wall right here, a half wall, well, it goes through half the room. They're sitting over here on a shelf, and so air is circulating a lot in my studio. So it's drying things pretty fast right now. Am I worried about cracking? Not for these. There's no handles, there's no attachments, there's nothing on here. There is only a single piece of clay. If I had attachments, I would be concerned. All right, so that's pretty much trimmed. You know, I try not to ever work so that I have to use a heat gun or hair dryer or blowtorch to dry my pieces. I want everything to work the way it should in its own time. And so I just try to accommodate the clay, and I make myself work to meet its schedule instead of me forcing it to meet mine. Now today, it's a little different. I can't do that. And what that means is me meeting the clay schedule, not it meeting mine, means I always have things at various stages of making and drying so that I'm not waiting. So it's not like I'm stuck or anything waiting for things. I just am working on something else. So I use that little avocado tool to smooth out the side there. The sticky bat, for using it for trimming. I have one. I use it a lot, but not for cups. I use it for bowls. I mean, you could grab it out and I could use it for these bowls here. If y'all want to see, you want to see a sticky bat? I actually have a foam bat that I was thinking of using because these are altered rim bowls, and sometimes when you have a delicate rim, you might not want to risk it, right? I'm just rounding over the edges. Somehow a piece of grog has snuck in here and got into my bee mix. I'm not sure how that happened. I do throw with grog sometimes, and I thought I had it all cleaned off, but it's been a while. All right, ready? I'm going to clean the wheel. Yes, some of it gets on the floor too. The floor is going to have to get mopped no matter what, so it doesn't matter. And that makes me happy enough, so I do it. All right, so let's pull this one off, and I will check, see how the rim is. So the rim is dry enough that it didn't get altered at all. You want to make sure your rims are nice and dry. Let's look at this cup up close. We'll switch to the front view for this one. So Instagram folks get to see it. Everybody else at home, look at that. Look at that foot shape. Look at how great that foot is in relation to the cup. You know, see this sitting on a flat surface, you know, here. And you can see how that foot raises up the cup. You see I was talking about that little foot with the round belly and how nice that is, that juxtaposition. Look at that. So ratios, sometimes we use these ratios of thirds. I look at the widest part, and then I do a foot ring that's 2/3 as wide as that part, ideally, you know. That's a nice ratio, I think. You don't have to get that mathematical about it, but this could end up being a favorite cup style. I might have to, oh geez, I got surgery next Thursday. Can I make a bunch of these before then? I thought I was done throwing. So we'll turn this one upside down too, as long as I don't bump it, and let that dry for a bit. Normally I have shelves and I have a wear rack over there that I usually will just sit my stuff on, but because we're demoing right here. So new trimmers that if I go through the bottom, oh yes, remind new trimmers if you go through the bottom, you can put a slab on it and save the piece. Yes, you can. So if you trim through the bottom of your pot, you can roll out a little slab and save your piece. Yes, absolutely, you can do that. Depending on how you trim through, you can also turn it into a planter, depending on what it is. Yeah, that's an option. So here's a bowl that I threw last night. I actually threw this after the end of Clay Share Con day 2. So last night at like 7, I'm out here still working. I was in the studio 12 hours yesterday. I'll be out today for about 14. So I threw this after, and then we altered it this morning. It's still a bit sticky, the foot. You know, I've been drying it upside down, but it's still a little sticky. So I'm going to see if we can trim this. Let's just take a look at it. The foot really to here, and there's a nice meaty, you see how look at this bottom now. Look at how meaty this bottom is right now. So I want you to picture this at this moment, because I'm going to show it to you after and it won't even look like the same pot. It will change the pot. Right now when we're looking at this, let's turn it over and look at it. The sides, they're not, you don't have much of a difference. It's not lifting it up. See how it's very heavy visually? So let's turn it over, get it centered-ish. And, you know, the one thing the Giffen Grip does do, though, someone was mentioning that, I believe you can set it so that it will always be centered, like it's easier to center with. Do I throw pots with thicker walls to accommodate for trimming, thicker than hand building? It depends what I'm going to do with the pot. I always make the bottoms extra thick. Yes, this bottom is very thick. And I do that on purpose because I want to have the support of the walls so that the walls won't collapse, but also so I have lots of clay to remove when I'm shaping it later during trimming. So it's totally different than hand building in that respect, where when we hand build, we want to make our feet, our bottoms, not necessarily the foot, but the bottom the same thickness as the walls. Here I will trim it to the same thickness as the walls. And when I throw pieces, the wall thickness changes. Little teeny tiny shot glasses or little tiny Unomis, little small cups, I will make the walls thinner. Then I will make like the mug, I usually make a little thicker. If I make a big serving bowl, if I make, if I make sinks, goodness me, if I'm making a sink, they're really thick, like really thick, because a sink needs to be thick. It's going to be in a house. People are going to bang into it. You can't have thin little rims on a sink.
Oh, got a comment. Don't forget your sticky bat.
Ah, do I want sticky or foam? I got both. If I can get this last one, let me grab that. We'll do the sticky. Then I won't use the wads. So I don't use the wads of clay when I am trimming on a foam bat or a sticky bat. So let me get both. This one is that's on there right now. Hold on, forgot my sticky. Oh no, I used dark clay last time I used sticky bat. So tiptoe through here. We'll save the foam bat for the fancier rim that's still drying. We'll use the sticky bat on this one. Right, we'll do that. So let's pull this bat off. And I think those
And I'm going to apologize for everyone in advance.
Oh,
because
the sun.
The sun is probably going to complicate what I can do with the cameras.
Well, I do have some cardboard in the back that Speedball sent the new poster in. If you could stand that up in the window, that might block out that sunlight. We don't usually work on this side of the room at this time of day, so we are not used to the sunlight streaming through, but I think it's a good sign to have the sunlight joining us for Glacier Con. I'll take some sun. So sticky bats, they become unsticky over time. Just wash them gently with water and a little detergent, and they get sticky again. The reason they become unsticky is because the clay particles build up on them, and that's what does it. I have a studio with no running water. No plumbing in this building. So the only way I get water is I save my old kitty litter jugs and I fill them with water. Do you need to, do you need the water for the chickens today? All right. Did you find the cardboard I was talking about? It's by my rack, my bisque rack out on the back there, at the back of the studio. So I'm trying to scrub off the dark clay. What did I do last on this? Oh, I haven't used this since I threw with Georgie's dark chocolate trail mix clay. That was the last time. You can tolerate it. So the code for De La Designs is Glacier Con. For 15% off, it's not Glacier Con 15, it's Glacier Con for the conference. Will get you 15 off. This clay's been on there for a while. I'm about to just let it be, and it will work itself out, or not. I got pots to trim. I can't wait. All right, now I'm just going to pat it dry a little bit. Yeah, you found it. There's a white envelope, too, you might need.
I'm going to see if I can get it in here without breaking anything.
Good luck. You have to move a bunch of stuff first, is what I would do. He's like, yep, she's right. So there's all these bat holes on the back. It'll accommodate different size bat pins, depending on how your bat pins are on your wheel head. And I hope I got the right, no, I don't think I got the right size one, did I? I think I need this one over here. Let's find out. You'll know because it'll fit. There. It makes it warmer for me to have the sun. It makes that 25 degrees seem like it's 75, right? So when you use sticky bats, they don't have circles. I used a Sharpie and I drew some concentric circles on it as a little trimming guide. And then we'll put our bowl on here and then we'll just scooch it around. You gotta go higher, hon. Oh, actually it's the kiln window right now. It's the window with the kiln. You might, don't bump my cups that are sitting over there on the baby kiln. Stand it up on the vent. Listen to me telling him what to do. I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna focus on making the pot. Yeah, that's the light. That's it. You got it. Got a little strip coming through still. But you found it. Yay! Sounds like your studio. Gotta move something to do something. I know. It doesn't matter how big your studio is. It's never big enough. I have a 24 by 24 foot 2-story barn as my studio and a 15 by 20 addition off the back as a kiln shed. And it's not big enough. Okay, that's good. That's nice. I'm happy with this. Let's grab a trimming tool. What one are we going to go with? Let's go back to the T5. I'm going to go with that. And we're going to be trimming a lot away. And you'll see these ribbons coming off there. Not as nice as they could be because the clay is still a bit wet. And you'll find wet clay will stick more. There'll be more drag with the wet clay. So that's why I try not to trim until my pieces are ready for trimming, but I really want to do this demo for y'all. So we're going to trim just like a cup, just like that. You ordered yesterday and forgot to put in the discount code. You emailed them and they gave you the discount. Thank you, Sambao. They are great. Dan over there at Sambao Studios, he's so good. I mean, honestly, I have to tell you, everybody I work with, everybody who sponsors ClayShare has been a dream to work with. I have had no problems at all with any of them. So as I'm trimming, I have my elbows tucked into my sides. You see how my hands, so these are beginner tips, but they also are tips for people no matter what age or what level skill you are. You should always try to practice. You keep your elbows tucked in because free floating arms don't have much support, right? And I always try to connect my hands together because they're supporting each other. And I'll rest my fingers on the bowl just so that that's extra support as I'm trimming. So that's where I'm going to go for the bottom of that foot, I think. And I just made that line, and that's where we're going to trim down to. So that's going to be my foot itself. And then I'm going to trim down. Now, we altered this bowl, and we're going to end up trimming into some of the altered areas. That's okay. You just trim right through it. Not through the pot itself. You get like a bumpiness going on, but it looks normal because it's altered. So it's supposed to do that. And you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute when I show you. Do you see the bumps? Bump, 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 bump. Little speed bumps happening. I might take a tiny bit more off the foot. So I flipped the tool up. Ooh, sticky bat. It's sticky, but only so sticky. And I made a little gouge in my clay because it's really wet. And I was telling you all that that's one of the risks when you're trimming really too wet. So we'll get this back on center. Get it back on center. I do sing to myself in the studio. Not a great singer. It doesn't matter though, because I'm having fun. All right, there we go. You were just trimming a couple of small pots earlier today. You're a beginner at throwing and trimming, and you already love it so much. Trimming is so relaxing. It is, yes. Oh, it's 75 and sunny where you are. Joan, lucky you. All right, so I made an oopsie. We got to trim that away. So I'm just going to hold my hands nice and steady, and we're going to trim this foot ring down until I get through where I made that oopsie. See, it's still right there, so we're going to trim a little more. Didn't mean to, but it got caught, and that happens. There, now it's gone. Took care of that. But I have to remake my foot ring. So we're going to go to here. Right? Your sticky bat did not come attached to a bat. So you might have got a sticky pad. They make a sticky bat and a pad. Did you actually get a bat and a pad unattached? Because what you can do is you can take your sticky pad and you can glue it onto a plastic bat. So you just get yourself a like speedball plastic bat and epoxy it on. I'd use something like for a bat, I guess you could use E6000, but you might want to get a heavier duty 2-part epoxy that is, you know, will handle water a little more than the E6000 will. All right, now let's make the foot ring. I'm going to mark it out first. This is where you get a little dangerous with the foot being really wet, because the bottom being wet. Because as we trim, if we push too much, we basically are bowing the clay in. And I've been using the T5 this whole time. Just this. Nothing else. But let's switch. Let's do a different one. We need to play fairly with everybody. This is a T3. Yeah, I use this one a lot too. I love this one. So you'll see the bottoms trim smoother when your clay is the right dryness. This one's so wet. I don't know if you can tell. I can really tell. It's making me a little crazy, but the other one's even wetter. That's about as much as I'm going to trim. But here's the thing. We're on a sticky bat. If I trimmed it and I was like, that's good, I'm done, and then I take it off and I realize, ooh, it's too thick, because you can tell. You can feel it. You know. You pick up a pot and it has a feel to it, and either it's perfectly balanced or it's not. I think that's just about done. You just trim the side here. Get that inside. I'm going to do my little indent with the avocado, which is that T7. It has a little end too. See, it has this tiny end. We'll use that. Get rid of that stuff. And I was talking earlier about my Bailey wheel that I'm using. It's not the quietest wheel out there. It does make noise. Getting the most quiet wheel is not a problem. It doesn't scream. It doesn't make anything, a noise that bothers me. It's just not completely silent. But I tell people when you're buying a wheel, it's just like buying a car. There's things you want to get out of a wheel, just like things you want to get out of a car. So no one is a perfect fit for everybody. You have to do shopping. You have to go and check them out and see what you want. So I'm trying to read your comments and keep up. You cannot find the diamond core pad that is discounted also. I don't know. This wasn't supposed to be part of the demo. The sticky bat's not part of... Are Diamond Core Tools doing discounts on the sticky bat, Kev? Do you know?
The only thing that Diamond Core Tools is doing is
right now
a
free
free sanding pad with orders over 125.
Okay.
And they've got the code for that on their sponsor page on glaciercon.com.
Okay. So there's no discount on these. And the sticky bat or sticky pad, they make both, was not supposed to be part of this. Someone just asked and I said I would share. All right, how to use it. Let's pick this up. Oh no, the balance is good. The balance is really good. So let's look at this foot. We'll come to the front and I'll show you the bowl. right? Remember how I said, remember the bowl? I actually could probably trim, this transition is a little harder than I would like. You see that transition right there? You can, I don't know though, might be all right. We'll have to wait and see. Let's put it on our box. This has become my new favorite prop right here, to see a bowl on a table, because that's really how you're gonna see it, right? It's gonna be on a table. I like it. Maybe if I was, you know, not gonna try to trim something else, I would mess with this a little more, but you also have to know when to stop, right? That's part of it. All right, we have one more bowl, and I'm gonna use the foam bat instead of the sticky for this one, because this is the one that has that beautiful, elegant, fancy rim. So the foam bat works similar to this is from Studio Pro Bats too, by the way. This is not a Diamond Core Tools product. I'm gonna put this. Someone hold my bowl. No, I'm fine. I'm kidding. I can find a space for it. I took all my space up with all these bats. Okay, don't make me regret that. We'll line up the bat pins. Studio Pro Bats, foam bats, will fit all size bat pins because they have an adjusted, I'll show you. They have this cut. Are you on the front camera, Kev?
Yep.
Okay, they have this cut into it, see, and this fits in, so it'll accommodate any size bat pins you have. Or no bat pins. If you're someone that doesn't have bat pins, you could just use a little clay pad to stick it to. Do I ever keep going to see how thin I can make the piece? Well, the trimming, you only want it to be even, right, when you're trimming. You don't want to trim the bottom more than the top. Do I ever keep throwing to make it too thin? When I first started making pottery, just like everybody, you make everything too thick, then you make everything too thin, then you find your own way. I did, for a while, make really thin pieces. And I used to really push the boundaries on the thickness, but I found a thickness I really like for my work, so I don't push it, but I do encourage it in my students, and I encourage it in any of you who, you know, you want to explore things. You should check out, you know, the different thicknesses. Make stuff that's really thin. Make it thick and carve it. Facet it a lot. Cut a bunch off so that you carve away that thickness. I tried to, as a beginner student, mask the thickness of my pottery by saying, I meant to make it that thick because I'm going to facet the sides and carve it. And my professor was just like, make another. So it didn't fly. I didn't mark this bowl. Can do it. It's the same. It was the same way as the first one, right? And we got some bumps happening at the beginning. It's a little bumpy at the start, but it'll smooth out. And you'll see a lot of clay came off. The first bowl we trimmed, it was almost as thick as this one. You love the Diamond Core tools. They almost make you love trimming, Rich says. Good tools make all the difference, right? Rich knows. He knows. Your Bailey is so much quieter than others. You hate watching a video and the instructors. Wheel makes an awful noise. Mine's pretty good. You know, this is a 17, 18-year-old wheel. I have two. I have one that's 17, one that's 15. This might be my 15-year-old wheel. My 17-year-old wheel is up at, they're like children, my 15-year-old and 17-year-old. My 17-year-old wheel is up at the new house. I already put that up there. All right, so now we're going to make our foot right here. And I'm going to trim a little more away, so we're just going to go down the side. See See how these coils are kind of sticking to the side a bit? They should normally be pulling away if the clay was a little drier. But what this does show is that you can trim when your clay is still a little too wet. You can do it. It's not the best experience though, so I mean, optimally. The curves do make all the difference, doesn't it, in the pot? The altered shape. I mean, I have the plain ones behind me that we threw, but we didn't alter, which those are sitting out. Goodness, in a little while I could probably flip them over and they'd be ready to trim today too. I know some potters who their clay allows them to work in such a fashion that they can put their pots outside after throwing in the sunshine, and a couple hours later go, you know, make them in the morning, go have lunch, come back and start trimming. My clay doesn't really like that so much. I use B-Mix, which is a porcelainous stoneware. But there are clays out there that will let you do that. A groggy stoneware would be my suggestion for that. Your tool catches on the ribbons coming off and causes problems. Doesn't mean your clay is too wet. Yes, it will. If it shouldn't be catching. If it's catching, then the clay is wet. When it's the perfect thickness, and I think here. I have to adjust my bowl and my sticky bat a little bit. Because this is an altered rim piece, it's going to sit uneven on the sticky bat. So it can be a little more difficult to trim. We're going with that. All right, let's set our foot ring. So that's where it's going to be. Oh, it's so wet. It's so wet. Look at how wet this is. Can you see? I can scrape it with my finger. You shouldn't be able to do that. I'm going to do it though. You just got the whisper. You still have to unpack it. Oh, unpack it and use it. Get that wheel out. Get it out. I've heard from a lot of people they love their whisper. I really think most pottery wheels, they're on par with each other. Most companies, they keep each other honest, we like to say, because you can't make a bad wheel and still be in the industry. People are going to talk about it. People will complain about your wheel and you won't sell them and everybody will know and you will go out of business. So most of the wheels out there, I would say all the wheels that the big companies, Shimpo, Pacifica, Bailey, Brent, the Clay Boss, Speedball owns Clay Boss. Those wheels, I'm forgetting some. There's the Thomas Stewart wheel that's out there, and there's a few others. They're all equally good. They really are. All right, let's get this edge. And I think I don't dare trim too much more because it's going to mush down, and I don't want to do that. So I might have to come back and trim this one a little more, but we're going to see. I'm going to check it out. Woo! Make a mess.
I got a question that's coming in from a few channels for you.
Oh, I didn't do the outside of the room. Yeah, go ahead.
So we've had come in from a couple of sources that they've heard that these tools work well on wetter clay. So what do you think, having used it on wetter clay today?
They are working on wet clay. They're working on clay that is too wet to trim. So what will I say about that? I would say they're working spectacularly. You're seeing me trim with these tools on clay that I threw last night at 7 o'clock at bowls that were soft enough for us to alter just a few hours ago. So this is definitely wet clay. This is the wettest I've trimmed in a very long time, like years and years. I don't know when I trimmed this wet. You can see, look at how much is sticking, right? And these tools are working really well. So I wouldn't suggest planning to trim this wet, but it's just a nice side benefit that they do trim well, because they are trimming really well on wet clay. You see how it's causing me trouble with the bits sticking though? These little flaky bits. And now I've got a piece stuck up in there. That's the big downside, is as you're trimming, the little clay ribbons can re-stick, and then you gotta get them off. I think I got most of them. It's so wet. Let's smooth it off, and we will going to look at it and talk about it. So if I was going to buy one diamond core trimming tool, which one would I suggest? And the avocado tool number is the 7. That's the T7. If I was going to get just one, I think I'd get the T3. It's a shape I like a lot. You've got an angle, but they did come out with this one, which sort of meets, oh, I didn't grab it. I think it's over there. It's a dome. This one. Let me grab this one. This one's a good one too. See, this is the problem. Sorry, my face is right up in the camera there. This one is a good one too, and that is the, it's not marked on the thing. It's one of the first 4. So I don't know what one it is. I'll have to look that up. But personally, the T3 and then the T7, that's the avocado one. This one, the T5, you do get a little bit of a curve, right? You get a nice little curve. That's nice. I don't think you can go wrong. I think what will happen is you'll buy one, you will love it so much, the next thing you know, you've got like 3 or 4 more. That's what I think will happen, because that's how I do it in my life. So I don't have any discounts on the foam bats, no. Sadly, they aren't part of this. I just decided to show the sticky bat and the foam bat. Oh, wait, no. Studio Pro bats. Yes. I'm sorry. Yes, we do, yes. Ignore what I said. Yes, we have discounts on the foam bats. They're made by Studio Pro Bats. I'm sorry, I was thinking of Diamond Core Tools. And I'm just using my red rib to smooth everything down. Ooh, yeah, that's. We're not going to touch that bottom. It's too soft. It might have pushed in a little. All right, let's flip it over.
Yeah, the Studio Pro Bat Systems stuff is 20% off over at Clayscapes. Studio Pro Bats,
the foam bat is 20% off at clayscapespottery.com. And the code for that is, you're going to put in the notes, because they don't have a coupon code. You have to put in the notes, ClayShareCon, and they'll know. So let's come to the front and let's look at this piece right here. So this is the one with the very fancy rim we just made. Look at that. This morning we did. And there's our bottom. So you can see it. And let's put it on. Let's look at it on something. And so you can see the difference. Look at how much we trimmed off of that piece. So much came. It was that clunky, lumpy. Well, let's just grab one that's not. This one's not altered. Here. Here's one that's not altered. But look at the bottom. See how it just kind of goes down and it's a lump? And look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Right? Yes. Yes, Jess, it's beautiful. Thanks, everybody. Thank you. Yes, that's silly. All right. So I'm going to leave this sitting on the Diamond Core toolbox because it's safe there. That's what I got for trimming today. Have I tried the T6 and the T8? Yes, I've tried them all. I love all of the trimming tools. It's hard to pick a favorite. My suggestion is, if you are already working in clay and you have trimming tools you use now and you love certain shapes, look for a Diamond Core tool that mimics the shape you love the most. That's what I would suggest you do. If you've never used their trimming tools before and you want to try one out, I think I would start with the T3. That would be the one I would step in the water with Diamond Core tools. And I mean, really, any of their tools you will love, and the people are great, super helpful. So And you love the shape of the pot. It turned out really nice. The only thing left to do for both of these is I've got a few marks that I need to smooth away with my sponge. I'll go all the way around the outside, and I will just smooth away any little rough spots or burrs or, you know, scratch marks or anything like that as a finishing. And then that's it. These pieces will be, I'll sign them, and then I'll put them in the, well, they'll dry, and then I'll fire them. So there we go. All right. So next, we are going to do smooth bottoms. That's right, how to get smooth bottoms. We're going to use the diamond grinding discs, and I'm going to show you how to grind your pottery with the grinding discs. I do have to clean the wheel up a bit because grinding does make a bit of a mess. So I'll be back in 15 minutes, and we will grind together.